Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Communications from Home. This is my Tuesday evening show, live stream show. And yeah, today's Tuesday, June 16th. Can you believe it? We're right smack dab in the middle of the month. And tonight is a gorgeous night here in Tomah, Wisconsin. And I wanted to thank you for joining me for this live stream. Now, see, listen, we do have a little bit of a situation going on. I'm hoping, it says I'm live, but it doesn't show the name of the show. So I'm going to check my phone. And we're going to see if it shows up. Technology is grand, right? Here I am. All right. Let's see. I thought it says I'm live. Let's see. Turn down my sound, make sure I don't get all squelchy on you. Okay, so here we are. So here's the thing, is that if you guys could help me do me a big favor, is help me to send this out, because we didn't use the original, the live stream link. I had to create a new one. So if you could help me send it out to your friends and family, that would be great. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm actually going to send it out to a couple of the groups because people won't know where to find me otherwise. And there we go. And then I have to send it over to my own news feed. Don't you just love it? I know. Are we in Mercury retrograde yet? I think that's like tomorrow or the day after, right? And so I'm just going to let my friends know. And there we go. Post that. I think I got it. Except for the few people that I know that, I've shared with them that I would send it out to them. So it looked like I saw Rochelle in the house, but I'm going to send it to you anyway, Rochelle. And there we go. Violet. Okay. All right. I think we got it. Okay. Yeah, there she is. There's Rochelle. Good to have you guys in the house. And look, Barbie's here too. Hello, Barbie. Good to have you here. And Julie's here too. Hello, hello. And of course, Rochelle. Hello, Rochelle. Good to have you guys with me. I know, when we do those kinds of things where we have to be kind of very quick to try to reach a solution. When we're live streaming, sometimes we have to start a brand new show, and that's what I ended up having to do. And so if you could share it out, that would really be nice. So that way people can find me, because they're probably looking for our other link. You know how that goes. Okay, yeah. All right, so hey, Kimberly's in the house too. Thank you for being here, lady. And thank you, Rochelle. Thank you for helping out. I appreciate it. Hello, Julie. And Carol found us. Hello, Carol. Good to have you here. All right. So tonight's Tuesday. Can you believe it? I said June 16th. This month is just going by quickly, isn't it, though? So quick. And lots of things to be grateful for today. And I know that the world out there can be kind of crazy, right? It's past wonky, but it's into crazy, I think. But there's some things we can be grateful for. And one of the things that I'm really, really grateful for is that my salon, I go to a salon, and they're open 7 days a week now, because they can only have half their staff there, and every other chair, right, has a client in it. And so I was able to get in to get my hair cut on Sunday. And I'm going, June 14th? that's a Sunday, and they said, yeah, I know, we're open 7 days a week now. So I'm grateful for it because I actually got in and got it shaped just a little bit. Because it's been so long since I got a haircut, I decided I was going to grow my hair out. Yeah, so we just got some layers in there and just to shape it up a bit. And yeah, so we got to take care of ourselves too. So I'm grateful they're open on a Sunday. All right. So tonight's show is all about being an elder. We're continuing the series on eldership or elderhood. And tonight's show is all about the unrecognized elder. And I'm going to ask you a question, and that is, have you ever experienced being an unrecognized elder? Or have you ever not recognized one of your elders? Either because, for whatever reason you might have, maybe you didn't consider them an elder, I don't know. But have you ever been on the receiving end of that? And have you ever been a giver on the end of that, or the non-giver? I don't know what to call that. Because I've actually, quite honestly, I probably have done both. Not recognize an elder. Like when I was in my 20s and 30s, I may not have, given them the kind of respect that they deserved. Right? Because when you're in your 20s, man, you don't think of those stuff most of the time, right? But I have to say, the older I got, the more in tune I was to recognizing those elders. I can give you an example. In the culture I grew up in, the Ho-Chunk culture and the Potawatomi culture, my grandmother, my mom's mom, right? My grandmother, she had 5 sisters. I knew 3 of them. And one of them, the youngest one, Grandma Maggie, Grandma Margaret, I must have been in my 30s. I think so. I think I was in my 30s. And I was working for a university. And I had a Native American student in one of my programs. And a relative of hers passed away. And I needed to get her to the funeral, right? And so I drove her to the funeral. And we went to the funeral home. We walked in. And there's a lot of people there, people I knew and people I didn't know, right? And Native American Ho-Chunk funeral. And we walked in, and I made sure she got to her mom and talked to her mom for a little bit. And then when I turned around, I realized one of my grandmothers was in the house, was there. And she didn't see me. And I could have easily just kind of, snuck out the side door because I wasn't going to stay for the funeral. I had to get back to work. And so, but I didn't. I made my way over to her, and I knelt down in front of her so she could see me. And I told her hello, and she's looking at me, and it's like, do I know you, kind of look. And I said, hi, Grandma. Hi, Gaga. I'm Neshi. And she's looking at me, and I said, I'm Florence's daughter. And she goes, oh my gosh, you grew up. So, I didn't see her a lot, but I did. I spent, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes with her, just asking her how she was doing and where she was living now and that kind of thing. And then I gave her a hug and said I had to go back to work and that I would see her again. And so now weeks go by afterwards, right? And I'm talking to my mom on the phone, and she was saying, so what did you do to my aunt? And I said, what do you mean? And she says, your grandma Maggie. I said, I didn't do anything to her. And she says, well, she's talking about you. And I said, what is she saying? Because I didn't do anything. And she was just saying that you're such a nice young woman because you actually made time for a grandmother to sit down and talk to her. And I said, all I did was go and say hello to her and asked her how she was doing. Now, granted, I didn't see her very often, but it stuck with her. And I remember that to this day like it just happened, right? So whenever we we have the opportunity to recognize an elder, they remember those things. They remember them, right? And so thank goodness it was a good memory for her, because otherwise she would have told my mom, right? So let's see. Julie says, I liked your quick live stream this afternoon about gratitude. Oh, thank you, Julie. Yeah, I was having a very interesting day. I spent the day basically with Facebook and dealing with ad stuff, and yeah, so I needed a break. I needed something that was going to lift me up spiritually, and so I thought, well, what the heck, I'll jump on. And so thank you for that. You guys, you don't know how much that did for me this afternoon. Yeah, getting my hair cut, good one. Yeah, and Carol's saying, I would like to invite the people here to look at my Facebook page. Today is what would have been his 99th birthday. Okay, so that would have been your dad. Is that it? I'm going to have to go out there and look. I'll go out and look. Okay, after the show, I'll go visit your page. 99. I know. When you have, yeah. Well, my journey with the elder in my house, right? Mosquito. Yeah, she reminds me every day of the things to be grateful for. And the reason why elders are important. They are. Even though we have our days and we have our moments, overall, she reminds me about the importance of elders, right? To help us, show us the way. Now, the Reluctant Elder was the very first show that we did together about the elderhood, right? And that was one about us claiming our own eldership, right? And why we might not, or to at least give it some thought, right? And the last show that I did was about the rookie elder. And that's those of us that are probably anywhere between 40 and 60 something, right? We might be saying, yeah, I'm getting older and I'm somebody's elder now, right? And then we're just practicing. We don't have a lot of experience with it, right? That was a really good show. And then tonight is about that reluctant elder. So let's look at that word, the word not reluctant, but unrecognized elder. Let's look at the word unrecognized. Okay. And of course, just to be sure that we're all on the same page, I actually looked it up. And so in the dictionary, it says not given deserved attention, not given deserved attention or notice, not identified, detected, or known. Okay, let that sink in a little bit. Not given deserved attention or notice. Not identified, detected, or known. Not identified, detected, or known. So an unrecognized elder, I think that there's a couple paths to this, right? If you're an unrecognized elder, is it because others don't see you as an elder for whatever reason that might be, right? Or is it because we haven't claimed our eldership? And so the people in our lives, the people around us, may not give us that recognition if we don't recognize ourselves. Does that make sense? So I had to ask myself, exactly what is an unrecognized elder? And so I sat with that for a little bit, because as an unrecognized elder, because I've been one of those, right? I have people in my own family, nieces, who don't recognize me as an elder. They're in their 40s. I'm in my 60s, right? I'm 60. Yeah. And so, So, at first, I have to admit that it kind of hurt, right? And I realized, okay, but why does it hurt? Why? Why does it hurt? And I had to sit with that one too for a little bit. And I realized that was mostly my ego. That was mostly my ego. Because maybe it's because I've taught them how to treat me, right? Or how to recognize me. And so what did I do or what didn't I do at that time that they wouldn't consider me an elder, right? And I came to the conclusion that some of it has to do with my mom because my mom is still here. And so the term elder, when you're looking at somebody in their 90s or in their hundreds and the person that is chronologically capable of being an elder, you're not seen as an elder because there's someone else that is much older, right? And especially when you define elder in such a narrow definition as chronological age, right? Yeah. So I had to admit to myself that yes, indeed, it did hurt my feelings. Yes. But that had more to do with my ego at the time than it did with claiming my eldership. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm talking in circles here. I'm hoping it makes sense. Yeah. Let's see. Kimberly, what are you saying, Kimberly? Let's see. She says, great conversation. I'm connecting more with my granddad at 90. He really appreciates the telephone calls. I know, right? There is this thing about being seen, being claimed by your loved ones as still valuable, right? That they mean something in our lives, right? And I don't know about you, Kimberly, but you know what I just love? Even if I hear the stories 1,000 times, because with my mom in the house, I have some of the stories I've heard 1,000 times. But I love listening to the elders when they tell stories. And even better if it's about their life, things that they did in their life, the memories, right? Yep. Carol says, the first person who called me an elder was the person who introduced me to John O'Donohue. I will always remember that she recognized me as an elder. Yes, my dad is who I meant. Yeah, I kind of figured that. Yeah, it's a good memory, right? And to have somebody actually acknowledge you as such, as an elder, it does mean something. And it depends on who it is too, because I've been called grandma by a young man. He must have been, I don't know, maybe 18, 17, something like that. It probably has something to do with my gray hair. But he, to have somebody I don't even know, don't know him. He was just being polite. And he was saying, he's asking me if I was okay. Grandma, do you need anything? Can I help you? Kind of thing. And it was just being polite, being nice, but it felt good. It did. Carol said, I didn't see myself as an elder. At the time that you were designated by this person as an elder, I know, when Ortrun was on with me a couple weeks ago, and she was talking about that I was one of the first people to acknowledge her as an elder, to actually call her that. And it does, I think it does make a difference. Rochelle says, it makes sense. Oh, thank you. I felt like I was talking in circles. Carol said, that was about 8 years ago. I started seeing how I was if I wanted to be. And I do. Now I think more people are seeing me as that. So are seeing you. And I think that as humans, as two-leggeds, there is this sense of to be seen, to be acknowledged. And it doesn't really matter if they're acknowledging you as an elder or acknowledging you as a friend or acknowledging you as an expert. in a certain area, there's that piece that we all share, and that is to be seen, right? To be seen and to be heard. There's some weight to that. To be seen and to be heard. Because I think that we, as humans, we all do that to some extent. And sometimes very overtly, very loudly. And other times it might be very quietly or covertly, right? And some of it, we're actually seeing out there, out in the world. All the demonstrations, all the protests that I have been aware of since 2016 all have this element to it. To be seen, to be recognized, right? Water protectors back in 2016, all the way up to today, and Black Lives Matter, right? Yeah. And as elders, we can role model that. We can. When somebody is acknowledging us as an elder, is to take the time and to really take that in, and to thank them, right? To be grateful to them in that acknowledgement. And if you are an unrecognized elder, then we have to kind of sit back and take stock of that, right? Do you want to be recognized as an elder? And if you do, then it starts on the inside, right? It starts on the inside. As within, so without. And so when you claim your own eldership, when you embrace that part of your life, the part of you, then others will sense that. They might not see it, but they'll sense it. They'll feel it, right? All right, let's see. All right, so here, Kimberly. Kimberly's saying, yes, me too. They have great stories. I'm doing my full ancestry, and I'm getting invaluable information from my granddad about people I don't remember. Yeah, and Kimberly, you got to find the photos. He probably has a photo album somewhere, or somebody does. Get the names of those people, even if you have to scan them in and then identify them. Because my mom has 7 or 8 different photo albums, and there's pictures in there of people that I don't know, because they were taken years and years and years ago, long before I was born. And so got to capture all that information. Carol says, I'm wearing the mantle. Yay! She says, I'm willing to be that for someone who wants that from me. Oh, good. Good. There's some boundaries there, right? Some boundaries, which is all right. That's good too. Yeah. And sometimes it's just our life experience, isn't it? Because we've been around the block a couple of times. We know about some things, right? And yet we're still learning. So good. I'm so grateful, Carol. So grateful. All the binging is my sisters. I don't know. They have some sort of conversation going on, and I'm on the group, and so that's all the noise in the background. Carol says, some people don't notice it, but that's okay. The ones who want to hear what I have to say seek me out. Oh, that's a good way to look at it. Really, it's a good way. Because that is something that I had to come to as well, Carol, is because, those nieces that don't recognize me as an elder, and they still don't, at least I don't think they do. I haven't really paid much attention to that piece. yeah, once I realized it was more about my ego, and I had to let that part go and to go see it inside, right? Is that it's okay if they don't. It's all right. I'm claiming it. I was that reluctant elder. And now I'm not sure if I'm a rookie one. I think I have a little experience with it. But I'm finding also that these categories of eldership don't necessarily are not linear. You don't start with one and then level up to the second one. I think that they are woven together. I think that there's experience in each one of them simultaneously. You know that we might have started out as a reluctant elder, right? And at the same time, we could have been parts of our experiences really as a rookie. And the unrecognized elder, I think that there's parts of that in there too, because it's unfolding, and we are gaining experience in it, right? All at the same time, and it reminds me of the medicine wheel, the Native American medicine wheel. It is an energetic map to help us to understand how life unfolds and flows, right? But just because you're walking the east-west road, the blue road, that's where all life experiences are occurring, doesn't mean that you're not walking the red road, which is going from the south to the north. It's all happening all at the same time, right? And so, yeah, it kind of gets convoluted in a way, but let's see. Julie said, I had an interesting experiences 2 years ago in Florida. A nail salon pedicure with my niece and sister. Okay. I think, SIL. The nail technician asked me if I was Kirsten's grandma. Is 8 years younger than me. My niece would be my daughter, but grandma, I did not take it with like a respect and knowledge. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially when you're younger than what they think, right? And so therein lies the ego. The ego. Yeah. Actually, my oldest niece, I am 12 years older than she is. And we used to spend a lot of time together when she was little, when she was a toddler until she's probably, I don't know, third or fourth grade, something like that. We spent a lot of time together. And we had spent so much time together that a lot of people thought she was my daughter, that she was my kid. And it was like, I'd look at these people and think, come on, let's do the math. I would have been 12 years old when I had her. Think about that. It's like, but I can understand because a lot of people saw us together all the time. Right. So Julie, maybe it was just preparation for you, right? Preparation to step into that elderhood, because that, being a rookie elder, what I've learned about that is that we actually start a lot younger than what we think. We start in our 30s and our 40s on how to groom other people and how they respond to us. In other words, we're working on ourselves, right? The inside out. Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Kimberly says, yes, for sure. I have written down the names he's given me. Yay. It is priceless. It is priceless. And soon there'll be others in your family that will be interested in their genealogy and where they came from and who begot who, right? And guess who they're going to turn to for that information? You. You're going to be the keeper of the family genealogy. Kind of cool. Carol says, I'm learning how to do it. That's why I'm here. I know, that's why I started this series, to be honest with you, Carol. To be honest, I was listening to Clarissa Estes, Pincola Estes, right? She's an author, and she wrote a series about elders, right? And I listened to all the books, and it was the last book on becoming an elder that I listened to that book twice now, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. And I realized that we really need to get a handle on this eldership stuff because I'm not 17 anymore. All right? I'm not 17 anymore. I'm not 21 anymore. I'm not 36 anymore. I'm not 42 anymore. And so, when and how do we become? How do we embrace? That's why I started the series, so that we could have this conversation, because I'm right there with you, Carol, because I'm learning. I'm learning. And I find it fascinating. I do. I find it fascinating. Because you think about the people that are older than us in the same generation, because I'm part of the baby boomer generation, but I'm at the very, very tail end of it. December 1959, very tail end of the baby boomers. And that generation was so big that they literally carved out, formulated, molded the society and what we see today, right? Their lobby is so big that they literally influenced how things are done, not just here in the States, but all over the world. And this next generation, we've been riding their coattails, literally. And so many of them are in their 70s, right? Almost all of them, 70s and lower 80s. So what is our generation going to do? What mark are we going to place on this, right? We don't have nearly the numbers that they do, but we have something else. We have something else. We've lived in a world much different than theirs. Yeah, because they were there to do a lot of the heavy lifting. The women's movement, right? Equal rights. The American Indian movement. They did a lot of the heavy lifting for us. And so what are we going to do with all that? As elders, what are we going to do with all that? It's a lot of big medicine out there. And we have to know what we're working with, right? So that, I'm so glad you're here, Carol, and a part of this conversation, right? She says, I am many things to many people. I like that quote. I am many things to many people. Yeah. So, being a Sagittarian 3 times over, I can get rather philosophical about stuff. I can go down that rabbit hole, and I find it fun. Where the other people might think it's kind of convoluted, right? But here's the thing, is that as an unrecognized elder, we have to kind of embrace the aspects of it, I think. So here's the other thing I did with the definition. I took a look at the synonyms of unrecognized, okay? Synonyms for unrecognized: nameless, no name, noteless, obscure. Here's one: uncelebrated, unfamous, unknown, unsung. I know, right? Some of those synonyms was like, ouch, ow. And it helped me to kind of maybe wonder about, why have we not celebrated our eldership? for those of us who have actually claimed it, right? Have we celebrated it? How many people in the chat have gone through a crown ceremony or an elder ceremony? There's all kinds of ceremonies, right? And I'm only familiar with Native American. So as a young girl, when you start your period, there's a ceremony for that. As a young woman stepping onto your adult path, many tribal people here in the States on Turtle Island, they have putting the moccasins on, okay? But there isn't one for an elder. They're respected like you wouldn't believe. At least the words are good. The words are good. That's another thing. But I don't, we've gotten feathers, the eagle feathers and that sort of thing that we're presented from warriors. But as an elder goes, not so much. Not so much. It's the next big ceremony isn't until you die. And then it's the, when you walk on, then it's the funeral, right? The funeral ceremony, which is big, big, big. But I'm feeling like we should be creating a new ceremony, an elder ceremony, right? Don't you think? If nothing else, just for ourselves, right? To say that this is who I am. I am an elder. I am. There's something with that it goes to that part of our mental mind, our brain. Ceremonies do. That's why we do them. Because it goes to that ancient part of our brain that says something special is happening. There's something happening here that I have to pay attention to, right? Because really, technically, do we really need a ceremony? Probably not. It really is our own personal preference. But as ceremonies go, that just tells us that something special just happened. And that it's really for our mental mind. It's for our physical life. It's like another initiation, isn't it? Yeah. All right. Carol is saying, and I was born in 1945 toward the end of the war, civil rights, voting rights, and the war, anti-war and women's movement. I know. That's the baby boomers. The baby boomer generation did a lot of heavy lifting. And Julie, right? Julie Hedges, she taught us so much about the planetary movements and where those big planets are. And many of them are in the same position they were in the 60s when we had huge civil changes, right? So what I'm proposing is that we consider, where do we take all of that medicine that was already done? What do we do with that, with our generation? Right? Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Crowning? No, it's crone. Crone. Here, I'll put it in the chat. A crone ceremony. And it doesn't necessarily have to be called a crone, but the Celts, that's a Celtic thing. Maiden mother crone, right? And so we could call it an elder ceremony. So, we have many ceremonies that come about the initiations, really, um, about young children, male or female, um, coming into puberty, right? Okay, there's one. And then you have the young adults that might be starting, like the marriage or having children. That's another initiation, right? And then when you get to elderhood, there's nothing there. Now, the ancestors had something, that they had, the Celts had the crown ceremony. It's when we would go into menopause, right? Not many people I know have been through a crown ceremony. Now, Amantha Murphy, a friend of mine who is a teacher, spiritual teacher out of Ireland, Siobhan, she's a Siobhan, a yes woman. She does crown ceremonies. She does do those. And so, yeah. Hey, Lynn Marie's here. Good to have you here, lady. And whoops, I'm sorry, Barbara. Barbara says, thank you so much for this. It's very timely for me. Until recently, I was the reluctant elder hiding in plain sight. Now I could not hide if I tried, and believe me, I have. It's exciting and terrifying at the same time. I know what you mean. So you've been through the reluctant, you've been through the rookie, you've been through the unrecognized, and now you're claiming your eldership. I love it. Thank you for sharing that, Barbara. I love it. I love it. I love it. Good one. Yep, that's a crown ceremony. I wrote that. And then an elder ceremony. It's really about the initiation. And Carol says, for me, it was enough to be recognized once by the person who told me I was an elder. I saw it and I knew it was me. Crown has such a negative connotation. Yeah, it does. It does. But see, I think that's in the society that we've been embedded in, right? Because from little on, right, we've been taught certain things. And so the word crone has been given this stereotype to it, right? Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole movement about that too, that crone. Oh, hey Dawn. Hello, Dawn. Good to have you here. Carol says menopause was 2 lifetimes ago. Yeah. Hey, Deborah. Good to have you here. She says hello to everyone. Hello, hello. So here we are about the unrecognized elder. So since I looked at the synonyms, I also looked at the antonyms for unrecognized. Okay, here's the antonyms: celebrated, famed, famous, noted, notorious, prominent, renowned, well known. I kind of like the notorious one, actually. There's that part of me, right? I always wanted to be that aunt, that one that crazy aunt. Yeah. Notorious, prominent, renowned, well known, celebrated. And that's where I kind of spent a little of my time and energy around when I was preparing for the show, was about those two words, uncelebrated and celebrated. And I was thinking, it's about an initiation. We can celebrate that. We can celebrate that. Even though here we are in the COVID situation, that, we might not be able to get together for the actual ceremony. And then maybe we might, because things are opening up. But I was thinking we could even do it virtual. We could do it online. We could Zoom. We could Zoom a celebration, right? For all those who would love to claim and embrace their elderhood. male or female, right? Because we need both. We need both. That we could do that. Could start a movement. Here we go. So then I had to ask myself, what is a recognized elder? Heading toward that initiation, right? That once you have realized that, wait a minute, I'm not even being recognized. Why am I not being recognized? What do I got to do to get recognized, right? And there is that ego thing. So we really do have to define what it means to be an elder for ourselves. You know, and most of us, I would think that it has much to do with how we treat other people. And much like Carol was saying, you know, is what do you offer other people? How do you offer it to them, right? You know, some elders would prefer to lecture. Some elders prefer to show you. Some elders will tell a story, and you have to listen close because there's so many meanings within that story, and they won't tell you exactly what that is for you. Right? That's how my Misho, my grandfather, was. He'd tell a story, and then you had to try to figure it out. And then usually it was because somebody did something, and it was like, okay, so who did what, right? And so now we have to try to figure it out. But some elders like to tell a story, almost like those fables, right? Because there's a moral to the story. Yeah. So what kind of elder are you? If you want to be recognized as an elder, we have to work from the inside out. We have to identify it for ourselves and then be that kind of elder, right? Yeah. I kind of like the notorious because I've never really had the chance to be notorious. Oh my gosh, Carol, I'm not a red hat person either. I didn't even know what that was until a few years ago. Red hats. There again, that was the baby boomers that did that. Carol says, I am loving the unfolding of the me who is an elder. I celebrate myself with the people who see me that way. I agree. I totally agree. I totally agree. Do you remember way back when? This is kind of the feeling I had, and it might not make a lot of sense, but here's the feeling of it. Do you remember way back when you'd get carded when you went into a store to buy wine or beer or whatever, and they would card you, right? And you'd always go, oh my God, I am 20 years old. And you want to card me? This is when legal age was 18. Right? And so it was like, we'd get all indignant, you know, I am not a child. I'm of legal age. All right. There's that one. And then maybe in your 30s, and if you're lucky in your early 40s, you get carded again. And it was like, then it was completely different. Really? You want to see my, oh my gosh, yes, here you go. You know, and it was like, we felt so good because somebody thought we were a lot younger than what we were, right? Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of that a bit with the elders, right? At first we think, are you kidding me? I'm not that old. I'm not an elder. That's the reluctant elder, right? And then you have, you know, somebody just called you grandma, or they're just kind of, you know, treating you like an elder. Elders get preferential parking kind of thing. And you're thinking, oh, I am an elder. Look at all the cool stuff I get, right? That's the rookie. And what Carol just described, that's the elder, right? That is the balanced elder. because we still have to be balanced. We still have to be grounded, balanced and centered, so that we can fully step into that in a good way, with a good heart, right? Yeah. Oh my gosh. A Zoom elder passage. Exactly. We could do that. We could pull that off. Deborah says, did you remember his stories and write them down? My Misho stories? Well, I didn't write them down because, when you're a kid and then when you're a teenager, you don't do that kind of stuff. You don't even think that way. Usually you don't, it's like, oh my God, who did it? Trying to figure out who did it so you could correct it and then keep going, right? Some of the stories I do remember. Some of them I do. A lot of them had to do with, because he was a bounty hunter when he was in his 20s. And so a lot of those stories were about the criminals he was chasing across the United States on horseback. Carol says, it's overrated being notorious. I don't know. I'd like to experience it. I don't know. Maybe that's just the fire in me. Deborah says, people don't attempt to guess my age anymore. Sure do. We do think about it. I know I didn't write them down either. Yeah, I know. It's just, it's just the way humans are, really, Yeah, it's that looking back. And that's why I'm really grateful about being able to hear the stories again that my mom says, that she tells. Because the first time she told them to me, I didn't want to hear them. I had other things to do. I had to go play outside. And then when she said them again, I had a social life. There was parties to be gone to and things like that. And then when she said them again, I was newly married, and oh my God, I'm an adult now. And so here we are. And I get to hear the stories again. And now, and I have many of them recorded, and I get to ask questions. Sometimes she gets upset with me because I'm asking too many questions. But, and I tell her, well, what am I supposed to do? If I don't ask the question now and you go and you're gone, how am I going to ask you then? I'm going to ask your spirit, but, I'd like to ask you now. And so we have that discussion. Yeah. Deborah saying, yeah, same here. I know, right? Okay. So, oh my gosh, we're already at the top of the hour. I'm just going to take a quick look at my notes here. Yeah, here's the question is, why do you suppose elders go unnoticed? And then, because I truly believe that our world changes and shifts when we make that internal change and shift, right? And so when they do begin to be recognized, to be seen, what shifted on the inside, right? Was it their self-confidence? Was it their self-worth? How they felt about themselves? Obviously, that shifted in order for something to shift on the outside, right? And so I came to the realization that much of our healing and both the mental and emotional traumas that still goes on no matter what age you are, we're still learning, right? Our life lessons, and they just reflect differently. We're still doing the same work we were doing previously. Yeah. And we just have a different way of sharing and a different way of maybe teaching, right? And so, I thought all of that just to get back to the same place I was before. but it's a spiral. It's a spiral. It's not getting back to the same step one, the first step. It's really about that spiral that's going up, right? That ascension, that growth. We have a lot of life experience. It's not going back to the first step. It really is about understanding that how we change our world, how do we manifest our world, really starts on the inside. On the inside. That hasn't changed. That's why it's so important for us to be grounded, centered, and protected so that we can embrace, really apply our gifts, really, and to be able to share that wisdom that we've gained, right? Yeah, in a good way. In a good way. So we have another round of the Eldership series, claiming that eldership and also talking a bit about those super elders, those that are over 100 or heading into that, and what that might be like. I would love to be able to have my mom on the show so she could talk about it. I asked her. It wasn't even politely declined. It was like, no. It was like she wouldn't even think about it. So, yeah. No, she said that I said we could record it and we could do it as a replay, and no, she still didn't want to do it. So we'll have to talk about that a little bit. Yeah. So anyway, I am so grateful that you guys were with me this evening for this. And we're going to take some time and really consider how we should do a elder initiation, an elder ceremony, right? We should do that. Maybe by this fall. That'll give me enough time to be able to work things out. I got a book to publish yet. We got to publish Orchard's book, and that's the big one up on top of my desk is to get Orchard's book published. And once that's done, it frees up some energy, and maybe we can focus it toward that eldership. Okay, yeah. So join me next week, Tuesday night, for Communications from Home, and we're going to continue the series of eldership. And yeah, we'll see what else we can create together, right? Good conversation, spiritual conversation. And I wanted to thank all of those who added to the conversation. Thank you so much, because it was a rich one. It was deep, and I do appreciate it. I do too. Okay. So let's see. Deborah is saying, I felt it's humility and it's an internal change. Yes, I agree. Hey, Judy, good to have you here. We're just finishing up. And Carol is saying, this was good. Thank you, Neshi, and all others. Yes. And Barbara is saying, thank you, Neshi. Oh, and everyone, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. And so we'll see you next week, Tuesday, okay, for Communications from Home at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And just as a reminder, Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay. Polly Jo's on vacation. She'll be on vacation until the first part of September. And so there is no Soul Connections tomorrow night. However, for chakra sessions on Thursday night, we are going to be doing a replay of one of her past shows, and I think it's about self-love. And so I was thinking about doing a watch party for that. So you can join me for that, and we can discuss and share about all the good stuff that Polly Jo shared in that particular show. Okay? All right. So, Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.